All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come join me. Let's see. What is it? It's Tuesday. We're coming up to the end of July. We are still in the middle of a coin shortage. However, there have been reports of more coins coming back out into some of those bigger cities. Traditionally, it shouldn't be a problem to obtain whatever you want. But because of the virus and everything that is kind of consuming just about everything that's going on in our lives, and the banking system is not immune to that. All the coins that people have been reporting are of the newer type, okay, which just further validates the U.S. Mint's kind of like a round-the-clock production on some of the newer coins, and that is what we're seeing. As a result, because of the output of production of these coins, there have been a number of errors being found on 2020 newly minted coins. However, I did not talk about any of them on my Pocket Change market report, which is why you're here. All right, so but as kind of a segue to help frame the actual coin shortage conversation, all the other coins pre-2020 are hard to find. And as a result, there are more people out there. Albeit I'll probably take a little bit of credit because the Pocket Change market report has been lit. It has been one of the most fire kind of like videos that I do every week. Just chronicling regular finds with varieties and errors and just myriads of various interesting things that are being sold on the secondary market. Okay, namely eBay has been the biggest e-commerce platform for these coins, and we're just seeing like huge increases. Sometimes 10%, as high as 25-30% on coins that about 6 months ago were not even tapping the numbers that we're going to talk about today. So I got two questions for you, a little bit thought-provoking. All right, has the market hit its peak? All right, are we beginning to see some sort of wallet fatigue as a result? I don't know. We're going to kind of talk about that throughout the video. I can tell you this right now. Supply will dwindle, okay? And that might affect the actual value of these coins moving forward until we see just a great supply of some of the older coins come back into the marketplace. And the big question is, should you sell? All right. And I think we'll tackle that question at the very end of the video as we go through and digest some of the 30 coins that I had picked through from the last 24 to 48 hours on eBay. All right, so if you were going to get into this, I'm going to make it just kind of like about as easy as possible. You're going to need a high quality, or not even a high quality, a quality magnifier. If you don't have one, BlueRidgeSilverhound has got you covered. I got some Amazon links below in the description box. I talk about it every week. If you're looking to pick up a jeweler's loupe, something that measures like 8 to 10 times power, which is suitable for hunting varieties and errors, all right, it is going to pay itself off with the first coin that you sell. Okay, generally the first one or two coins, you'll make up the $8-9 that you'll spend on a nice quality magnifier. So go ahead and check those out. Just go ahead and open up the description box below and look around. Plus, I also have other coin collecting supplies available. I do get a little percentage of some of these items, so just let you know, all your support is greatly appreciated. And as always, like, share, and subscribe to this video or this channel. If you enjoy coin collecting, you love collecting money. That's kind of a big deal with a lot of folks as they use the hobby of coin collecting to kind of get through this funny time in our world. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the first listing. Again, we're using original eBay listing photos. They haven't been enhanced any other than to crop each one individually and then made them up so that way you get both an obverse and reverse on the same picture. So we're going to start out with this 1982 Philadelphia Candy half dollar. For all you silver bugs out there that like to search through half dollars, of course, do not overlook some of the errors and varieties that exist in this relatively short series. So the 82p, what's so spectacular about this? Well, this is one of those coins where if you're able to find one, it's going to have missing initials. Okay, so there would be an FG right here normally, but under circumstances where a Mint employee has overpolished this area, or something to that effect, the initials will disappear. Okay, by accident, of course, and of course, it's a Mint mistake that we as collectors can capitalize on. These regularly show up in the marketplace, and they're being purchased for between $5 and $10. This one that you see here sold for $6. All right, so keep an eye out for these. Coming up next, we have a 2015 Lincoln Shield cent, a little bit out of focus, but I think the close-ups tell the whole story with these coins. For those of you that have access to Philadelphia struck later date Shield cents, I'm happy to say that there is just a bounty of various double dies that you can find in these dates. Some more rare and valuable than others. I've actually seen a few of them that have sold for hundreds of dollars. Okay, this one right here is the 2015 WDDO number 6. This is a best of variety, and there you go. That's what this one looks like up close. You can just see the doubling on each one of the numbers of the date. Everything is stretched southeast in appearance. Okay, and you even have some split serifs and notching in certain areas on the coin. But the date is very strong for the doubling. In addition, Liberty looks pretty nice. Everything is thick. You also have some notching on the devices all the way throughout every single letter. And then finally, in the motto, "In God We Trust," is going to show copious amounts of fattening on some of these letters. All right, so a very nice coin to look for. This one obviously has seen some circulation, but in any event, it did sell for $16.19. All the price quotes, of course, is going to add in shipping. So it could be $1 or $2, $3, whatever the case. So that's going to be reflective in the actual prices that I provide to you today. Oh boy, so we got a few usual suspects. Okay, I like talking about this coin because it's helping to set a trend for these coins that exhibit machine doubling. 1969S is synonymous with the big money, actual, real double die offers that people want to look for. Now, that coin is a 5-figure coin all day long, all right, even in some of the poorest conditions. But people are beginning to find alternatives, and because of the tie-in with the actual DDO that you can find in this particular date, anything that resembles some sort of doubling on the coin is hot in the marketplace. And it goes the same with any other date, and traditionally it's going to be from the 50s and 60s. So the 69S has quite a bit of machine doubling, as you can see here. The marquee kind of appearance of machine doubling is going to be these flat step or shelf-like surfaces or areas around the devices, okay, which actually cut into actual size of these numbers. All right, so this is not a real double die, nor is it an error. However, people have been embracing these in the community as being just a nice oddity, and that's what it needs to be seen as, is just an oddity. However, this example right here sold for $76. I've seen much more extravagant machine doubled coins from this particular date that have sold for like $200, $300, $400. So there are varying degrees of the strength of the machine doubling, and keep in mind, all right, while this has a secondary market, you might as well take advantage of it. Of course, people are looking for high-grade examples as well. So the next one that we have here is going to be a 2015 Philadelphia struck Saratoga National Park quarter. All right, if you're not looking through your quarters for little kind of like little errors and little nuances in there, you're really selling yourself short, because believe it or not, these coins, if you're able to find them, they do command some sort of secondary market action. All right, so on this coin, there is a nice healthy sized die chip. Okay, this is that hand right there, and then this is the top, I guess, the handle of the sword. Actually, let's see. Yeah, top handle of the sword. So there's a die chip connecting the finger to this handle right here. And this one sold for $5. All right, which is 20 times face value. It's incredible. These get overlooked quite frequently. All right, so this is one of my favorites. It's a 1960 large date Denver Struck Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now, the coin at first glance, actually all the photos are kind of ganged up together, which is perfect. But it appears to be either misaligned, the die-wise, or off-center. Of course, you see that misalignment on the reverse as well. So it's neither. And what it is you have a partial tilted collar, which if you're able to look at the edge of the coin, like you see here, you're going to see this flat kind of fin-like area that resembles kind of like what they call a railroad track. And these are commonly referred to as railroad coins. But you know, when the collar is slightly tilted or it's non-existent, then you're going to get this kind of action where either it's going to be a broad strike or a tilted collar, or a partial collar. I guess they're one and the same. But this one right here is sold for $28.50. A very honest, very innocent looking coin at first glance. Believe it or not, almost sold for $30. So make sure you keep an eye out for these. These are incredible. Okay, so this would definitely get missed through a lot of searchers. It's a 1983p candy half dollars that exhibits a little bit of a rim cut. Yeah, just because it's on the rim doesn't mean it's not valuable. All right, so again, just looking at the larger image that you see on the right side, you can understand why it would be overlooked. Cuds are just a lot more beautiful looking when they kind of go into the actual design devices of the coin, but don't sleep on these rather minor rim cuts. Okay, so we have this one here, this 83p that sold for $7.25. That's money in the bank right there. Even if you do make a few dollars, keep in mind with this kind of searching, all right, where you're looking for raw coins, you're finding some pretty neat varieties, and then you're turning around and then selling it as a raw coin. Okay, you're barely going to see any graded coins on my pocket change market report with good reason. The whole idea of this report is to incentivize people to look through their coins and then have the ability to turn around and sell it right on the spot, as opposed to sending it off to Annex or PCGS and waiting, 6 to 8 weeks to get your coin back. That may not necessarily enhance the value of the coin. Okay, these coins are just much more valuable, especially the minor ones, when they're not graded. All right, you're going to see that clearly through a few other coins on the list, but make sure you keep an eye out for stuff like this. Okay, so a coin that is unlikely to be found in change, but you just never know. I have to throw out that kind of like disclaimer. You never know where you're going to come across coins like this. Off-center coins are widely collected. Okay, there's massive appeal for this type of error, more specifically for coins that exhibit a full readable date. All right, so the more off-center the coin is, and you're still able to read the date, the more desirable they are. All right, this is a 1999 D Jefferson nickel, in case you haven't figured it out. I mean, you have a really nice, I would say it's about 60-65% off-center, but you were still able to not only see the date, but the mid-mark. Okay, that's a huge deal to a lot of collectors. This one right here is sold for $19.99. All right. Here's another off-center struck coin error. This is a 99D. This is a Denver minted Pennsylvania state quarter. First year of the state quarter program was hot off the rails. So things like this generally were scooped up in mint state condition. However, this one looks like it's seen quite a bit of action out there in commerce, and I would say it's a recent discovery. But this one right here is sold for $15.55. It's about 5% off center. It's not anything wild, but it is something definitely worth pulling out of your change if you come across it. All right, so we have a Roosevelt dime here that is a 1950, allegedly. I could barely read the date because the counter stamp is obscured the date a little bit, but I'm sure in hand it's a little bit easier to see. All right, so what's the big appeal with these? Okay, we've established that counter stamp coins in nature are damaged coins. All right, but it really depends on the kind of like outlying motivation for these coins, because counter stamps go way back, for many, many centuries. The more, I guess, identifiable counter stamps were during the Civil War, when merchants were using actual coins to stamp over, like their information of their business, and it kind of essentially turning things like Indian head cents and earlier coppers and other coins like that into Civil War store cards, which are very collected even to this day. But in a more modern sense, these can probably have a little bit more different meaning. All right, so this one here has, it's a 6-digit serial number. I don't know what it's used for. Someone that purchased it probably knows what it was at one point. It's hard to say. But generally, counter stamp coins all the way up to the modern age, within the last 10 years, are usually frowned upon. All right, but then again, you still have kind of like a niche market. There are people that want to buy it for what it is. It's neat. They know what it stands for. But it's really up to them to kind of like unravel the secrets. So this one right here sold for $23.45, where customarily it would just be a silver melt coin worth about $2. All right, so it's worth quite a bit more than the actual intrinsic value of the metal in the coin, but it is certainly a neat piece nonetheless. All right, kind of a mystery what this number string could actually mean. All right, so I'm a little bit stumped on this one. So this coin was being marketed on eBay as being a struck-through capped die, and normally I would agree with that. However, my only problem is you have a considerable amount of weakness on the reverse, and you can't put 2 and 2 together to equal 4 on this one, because generally you'll have the weakness on the obverse and not the reverse. Because on a cap die, the actual coin cap would be stuck to the hammer die in an instance like this. And I don't know. I think that this one might be damaged, as kind of like maybe a dryer coin, okay, where the coin has been eaten away through lots of friction. Some would say, oh, why do they call it a dryer coin? Well, actually, Christopher Rhodes on our live Q&A panel had made a great explanation as to what a dryer coin is and why it has been termed that. And these coins would get stuck in the dryer, I guess the tubs, as they're being spun. Through constant washing of garments, these coins would wear down. Now, this one is obviously a stumper because the rims are pretty nice and well defined on this, but I would be very cautious on buying coins that look like this, that exhibit this kind of wear on both sides. All right, it just screams damage to me. But some of you might beg to differ. It's not a struck-through grease. That would be a lot of grease. But in any event, this one right here, sold for $32.17, is probably just an example piece. I kind of see a radial pattern on the reverse, which shows that kind of wear back here. So I don't know. This one you could leave, I guess, to interpretation. But as an experienced coin person, definitely be wary of coins like this that enter a marketplace. It could be a legitimate error, or it could be, a lot of other things. All right, so there you go. All right, so here's one of my favorites. This is a 1970 S/S repunchment mark Lincoln Memorial cent. This is one of the big ones that people like to look for. This one is a really nice high-grade example. And as you can see here, you can see just the double S north of the primary mint mark. So you got two of them there. This one is a large date, 1970, so it's the more common date type that you'll find for this. But it sold for 14 bucks. So it's definitely worth finding as you're going through your Lincoln pennies, which is one of the most popularly searched through coins to this day. So here's another fine example of an off-center coin. This one is struck about 10% off-center. It's a 96p Washington quarter. Really nice example. Again, this has a market all on its own. There's a huge collector base for off-center struck errors. This one sold for $29.75, which is a really nice amount of money for this type of coin. It used to be I could pick these up for about 15 to 20 bucks about a year ago. And again, it's just a testament to how crazy the market is right now. You know, with silver shooting up into the stratosphere, I think we're over 26 bucks an ounce. Coins are following suit, as they should. All right, they play hand in hand when people are looking to either get into the hobby for real, like they really enjoy coin collecting, or as investment vehicles, assets. All right, and that when you put those together, the sky's the limit. Okay, how big can we go in all of this? That's going to be the question. All right, so this coin right here would be missed by a lot of people. It's a 99 Lincoln Memorial cent. If it looks a little bit strange and a little bit bigger, well, you're probably looking at it on screen. But jokes aside, this one is a mildly broad-struck coin. So you can see just the amount of space between the bottom of the bust here and the rim. Okay, and it follows all the way around. All right, so the coin was struck in the absence of an actual collar, which keeps the coin in the striking chamber as it's being minted. But this one is relatively mild. This one right here is sold for $18.94. Dual errors, always a favorite of mine. Of course, we have a 2001 Lincoln Memorial cent that is not only off-center by about like 8 to 10%, but it also exhibits some pretty nice wild die clashing. All right, so they call this the jailhouse clash because you got Lincoln here, and then this is the clashing of the memorial from the reverse, and these look like jail bars. That's overlapping Lincoln right there, but always a favorite. These are two very sought after errors. You mash them up together, and you have a really unique looking coin. This one sold for $15.88, and these do exist out there pretty regularly. As far as an error pairing, this is probably one of the more common ones, but this is a really nice high grade example of showing both. Pretty cool. All right, so another coin that I would suspect that is overlooked by the masses is this 2018 Philadelphia Cumberland Island National Park. So can you guys see the anomaly on this coin before I even say anything? I'll give you guys a second. But yes, this long raised metal strip right here is another rim cut. So you had a break right on the rim of the die, and this is a phenomenal looking coin. It almost covers about 25% of the length of the rim, which is crazy. This is a long one. But in any event, it sold for 16 bucks. Again, this is a coin that's overlooked by a lot of people. If you don't know what you're looking for, but it looks odd, pull it aside. And, check it out on a later date. This is a phenomenal error. Even though a cud, people would think, well, it has to involve some of the devices on the edge. No, not necessarily. Rim cuds could just stay on the rim, and they're just as well desired as well. All right, so we got another off-center error, this time on a 45S, a little bit earlier coin. Now, with off-center errors, the more older the date, the more they're worth. Okay, that's just common knowledge when it comes to this sector of coin collecting. So it's no surprise that this coin here sold for $103.24. Incredible. That's a lot of money. And these earlier off-center coins have shot up, probably with some of the largest margins I've seen. I had a 1939 Lincoln Wheat that was probably about 15% off-center that I sold for like $39, if I can remember. But that coin probably would have been $200 today. Just in the heat of the market and just the way things are going. These are some of the more desirable coins to look for. All right, so keep that in mind. If you got one of these and you're kind of on the fence of whether or not you want to sell like a pre-1959 Lincoln, that's off-center, even by a little bit, you might want to think twice because the market can't be hotter than it is right now. All right, so my once per video take on these toned coins. Okay, I'm going to stress again, there have been a record amount of new toned Lincoln cents that have come out in the market. Now, you guys need to understand, the copper composition, the bronze planchets that these sit on are extremely reactive to not only moisture but heat. All right, so there has been a resurgence in toned coppers, and a lot of them are seen as works of art. Okay, like people have intentionally applied heat or chemical, some sort of treatment to make the colors happen on these coins. More so with the heat, but prolonged heat onto a coin of that temperature will actually damage the coin. But these have been scooped up because of their beauty, and you need to know that it's really not that easy to find a true legitimate toned earlier coin. One of the things that you'll look for when it comes to artificial type of toning is that usually they'll focus on one side of the coin. It's going to be the obverse because that's where the main focal point of these coins are going to be. Now on the other side, okay, when a coin has been subjected to copious amounts of heat, all right, the coin will give off a pasty look to it. Okay, this is a very pasty, kind of light colored look to the coin, and a lot of them that I do see have that weird kind of like whitish bronze color to it, and I think that's just a reaction to the heat. But in any event, you guys are wondering, sold for $16.50 on this one. All right, so here's a little bit earlier dated 1977 $20 Federal Reserve note. Now, this, even though it's a smaller head, you can actually find these errors on some of the newer notes as well. Just know exactly what you're looking for. So on the front of this note, it's looking very light, and what this is called is this is an insufficient inking error. All right, so the plate doesn't have nearly enough ink to really put up some very vibrant blacks on this one, and it just looks faded. All right, while the first print with the serial numbers and the actual seals have all been printed with vibrancy. All right, so they're nice and bright, they're green, they're black, which is a huge contrast to the rest of the note. The back of the note is perfect. All right, so it's these things were printed in 3 stages. This note right here sold for $65. All right, but also look for these on newer notes too, because they do exist. 1960 large date Lincoln Memorial cent that exhibits 2 clips. All right, pretty nice. I told you clips were kind of making a comeback, in terms of error desirability. But you have a clip here, you have a clip here, but also know that you also have Blakeslee effect on the opposite sides of where the clip is. Okay, on this side you have a little bit of flatness right here. This one here sold for $10.05. All right, it used to be these were a $2-3 item about a year ago, and they have jumped up. Okay, another collectible that's seeing some big trends. Coins that exhibit like 3 clips or more are insane. All right, they've been going. That's a coin that if this 60 had 3 clips, that'd be a $25-30 coin all day long, based off of today's trends. Same with some of the more obscure, I guess, denominations or size of coins. So we have a 72 Eisenhower dollar. This has one lonely single clip right here. And you just don't see them that often on these bigger coins. All right, so definitely keep an eye out for these, like Susan B. Anthony's and some of the other funny type of denominations. This one right here is sold for $20.18. And the coin isn't exactly high grade. This is a coin that is circulated quite well. And as you can see, yeah, hit quite a bit of money. Definitely keep an eye out for these. All right, so we have a number of folks that like to kind of dive into like classics. All right, people will go on eBay. They'll go to a local coin shop. They'll search around for, some of these coins that they know exhibits possibilities of various errors and varieties. Now, this one right here is the 1857 Flying Eagle cent, which exhibits the wing bar or die break or chip or whatever you want to call this. This is actually snow number 16 as a variety in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Really cool error. And this coin is also a pretty decent graded example. It's like an XF45 AU50 type example. Sold for $224.72. There are also double the dies. There's also the multi-denominational clashing that you can find on these, which are all popular, and it's all 1857. So if you're looking again to something that has a little bit more challenge, okay, discovering not only Flying Eagle cents, but also earlier Indian heads for, like repunch dates and all that are always popular even to this day. So this 1944 Lincoln wheat cent was being sold as a cracked planchet, and that's evident here on the obverse. You can see this kind of like crack line. But what this is it's the starting stages of a lamination. Actually, it's always been a defective planchet, but this right here, yeah, it's just a lamination crack that is not necessarily going to cut, break in half if you, apply a lot of pressure. You can see on the reverse, it's perfectly struck. But this one right here sold for $14.99. Oddball kind of laminations have been enhancing in value as well. I could give these things away for like less than $5, which is a testament to just how popular these coins have gotten here in the last 6 to 12 months. Now here's an interesting one. How in the world did this happen? So I'll tell you this right now. It's a 1966 Roosevelt dime. It's a defective planchet. It probably at one point it was a what they call a clamshell error, where the other nickel plating was actually on the coin, and somehow it had fallen off. All right, so it was split right on the edge, and it had fallen off, after the strike, obviously. But this is a phenomenal error where you have the half of the obverse nickel plating had fallen off post strike, and this one sold for $347.75. This is a phenomenal error, and one in which you don't see that often raw. Usually a lot of these coins have been graded, but if you did come across one of these in your change, congratulations. That is a heck of a coin find, that's for sure. But this one, yeah, it's just not so. All right, so here's an older mercury dime. Obviously, it's probably worth no more than the intrinsic value of the silver in the coin, but this is more of a lesson of, hey, look at your scrap silver, because you never know what you're going to find. This is generally about, what, $1.82 in today's silver prices, but this one has a rim clip, which kind of puts it in a class all on its own. You do have a little bit of Blakesley effect right here, a little bit of this flattening. This one, let's see, sold for $11.75. I would say that that's worth taking out of your change and just kind of setting it aside, because it has value the way it sits. So this one's cool. Although, as nice as this coin looks, it does have some issues on the reverse. It's a 1960 D, Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now, it's not just any 1960 D. Okay, this is a very, very nice variety. If you're able to discern from the out-of-focus pictures, this is actually the RPM. So you got a D and you got another partial D here, but it's also the, the large date over small date variety. All right, so you can see the bottom tail of the small 6 and all sorts of great stuff. You can see two different sides of zeros overlapping each other. This is an incredible coin to find. Now, again, this is not a phenomenal example. It has condition issues. But even in this particular state, it sold for $28.75. All right, really cool coin. Definitely look through your 1960 large date Denvers. There's not only this, but there are dozens of repunched mid-marks to find for the date. It is a feast for sure if you're looking to cherry pick. 1936S. What do we got going on here on this Lincoln Wheat? Well, we have what looks to be a strike through on the offers, and it's anybody's guess what had fallen on the planchet previous to the strike. It could be a small piece of wood. It could be, maybe a lamination from another coin that had fallen off and landed on this one. There are a few things at play that could kind of, decide what happened here. But, this is a very cool example, a very cool error coin. And to give you an idea of the value, it sold for $26.85. I believe this was one of the yesterday sales. But yeah, really cool. Any sort of strike through, and you come across them on older coins quite often. It's just one of those things that just pops up when you least expect it. But this is a really neat piece, and it carries quite a bit of value. You would be surprised. One of my favorite dates for looking for repunch mid-marks, it's the 56D over D RPM. Without even showing you a close-up, because I didn't do a close-up on this one, but this is how strong this RPM is. Okay, you can see the D over D. This is a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. Very cool, very neat. They're all quite valuable. They're not worth just a penny. But this one right here sold for $21.25. The going market for these is between like $15 to $30. All right, really dependent on grade as well. 1968D. All right, so it looks like the obverse is just a little bit misaligned. The reverse looks good. All right, but I think that's the least important part to this coin, because this 68D Lincoln Memorial has something else really, really, really neat, and it's going to be this pretty big die crack going through Lincoln's skull. Now, the seller had mentioned that it was a retained die break. Not quite so, because with a retained die break, usually you would have another secondary crack that would meet and end on the same kind of main crack, whether it's on the interior or on the rim. Where on the rim, it's more of a retained die break. That's where the progression into a cud happens. It's just, that little piece of die hadn't fallen off yet. But this is really neat, and because of the value, I mean, it sold for $11.90. This is a very common occurrence on these coins. Can you imagine just finding just a whole bunch of them and selling them for like $10 a piece? Man, you could make a grip of cash selling these busted up Lincolns. And no joke, these have quite a bit of value, and the pictures are great. Make a mental note of that. The pictures look great, and they're perfect for this listing. All right, we're going to switch it up a little bit. How about a Canadian nickel? This is a 1990, a very common date Canadian nickel. However, on this particular coin, pretty interesting anomaly. If you look at the main picture of the reverse or obverse or whatever it is, okay, you can see these little kind of parallel lines that run underneath this beaver. And this has been referred to as the bellyless beaver, okay? And these lines right here can be indicative of one of two things. Either an over-polishing of the die, but because there's parallel lines, it could also be a feet or finger damaged coin. All right, so these have been embraced in the Canadian coin community as being, a really neat oddity. And because of that, it sold for $15.80. I mean, you can't go wrong. When you look and you find stuff like this, the search is definitely worth it. So this is just another coin to, even folks in the U.S., look out for this. I mean, I come across Canadian nickels all day long. And, this is just another one to add to your long list of other neat finds to look for. All right, so we are down to the last coin. And as you guys know, I like to highlight just something absolutely insane. Now, I don't typically talk about graded coins on the list, all right? But if I did, there's a good reason, all right? Because this is obviously a coin that you would grade just to make sure that it is a honest, legitimate error, number one. Number two, it's going to help with your sale for things that look like this. Now, what we have here is a Lincoln cent that was struck off-center on a genuine Roosevelt dime, and that's why it has that silvery appearance. You can see the design elements of both coins on there. In addition, there's just enough a date. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't take the other side of the coin, but it's a 1989 D. So this is a really unique error coin that would be seen and construed as simply just a straight-up investment coin. Or if you were really hardcore into error coin collecting, this is a trophy coin for your collection. Now, the coin is graded NGC Mid-State 64. 1 cent struck 35% off center on 1989 Philadelphia. I take that back. It wasn't Denver. It was Philadelphia. Roosevelt dime. It's mid-error. And sold for $5,024. And certainly a white whale. I mean, this is a coin that comes up infrequently through actual basic searching. But if you did, congratulations. This is a very expensive, very well desired coin through it all. So anyways, what'd you guys think? 30 coins up, 30 down. Really neat. Really telling kind of video of where the market is today. I mean, I had alluded to at the beginning of the video, is right now the time to sell? I would say yes. Only because the market is hot. The coin shortage is still out there. It's still being talked about. It's a real thing. Banks are reluctant to give out any big sizable quantity of coins. All right, so which is going to make supply drop all across the board from not only the coins themselves, but also being able to find some of these errors and varieties. Okay, we're going to see the list, or maybe not so much this list, because I'll always have 30 coins for you, ladies and gentlemen. But being able to find errors and varieties on eBay, it's going to shrink. And let's say this coin shortage goes out through the duration of 2020. I would say by the time December hits, it's going to be a problem. We're going to see less and less quality supply hit the market, and you're probably going to see the most expensive prices for these coins at that time. But if I were going to play the safe bet, and you needed some extra money, and you have legitimate errors and varieties, now might be the time to move them. Keep in mind, take those good quality photos. Okay, they are a huge selling point for these coins, because if you're able to tell the story with your images, then you'll have no problem bringing home a lot or the maximum amount of money for them. All right, so I'm going to thank you guys for watching. Sorry to keep it so long, but it's just a very, very hot market right now, and it's not going to slow down, that's for sure. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for instant notification. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. And Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care, be safe. All right, and I'll see you on the next coin video.